All right, hello everyone. Today I want to go over my personal history with this stuff, why I decided to start doing AI development mostly as opposed to doing things by hand, and then essentially kind of walk you through what a day in my life looks like from a development perspective. Now, I started coding about 3 or 4 years before the ChatGPT boom, essentially. I was learning how to code in Ruby. That was my first language. I tried to learn a little bit when I was younger. This was 10, 15 years ago, give or take. I was a teenager. I did learn like HTML, JavaScript, CSS kind of stuff in a browser, and I did that for a while, but I gave up on it, and I tried again multiple times in my life, and I continuously gave up on that process until about 2018, 2019, where it stuck with me, specifically because COVID had started, and it was looking like I was going to be at home all day, and I had the opportunity to actually just like learn how to code as opposed to doing other stuff. Um, and yeah, look, I can talk a bit about why I think that's important. So I started learning how to code specifically because I felt that, moving towards the future, we are more and more in tune with a technological need in our lives. Everybody's using technology all the time. Everything is done technologically at this point, and my feeling and my fear is that if I don't do this now, I'm never going to be able to catch up. So I learned how to code. It took me a few years to get my first paid gigs. And when I did, it wasn't much, and eventually it built up to a substantial amount that I could live off of, and I have been doing that since. Um, in 2022, it was August when Dolly came out, and Dolly had really shocked me in regards to how accurate it was, even though, I mean, back then, you had the spaghetti monster, and it's too old to even go to now. But, you have the spaghetti and all that, and it just doesn't feel that accurate. But realistically, when we first saw it, it was a brand new thing. We had never seen anything like that before, and it was kind of surprising. So I thought then and there that this is only going to be more and more common, and this is how people are going to do most work eventually. And I actually spoke about that years ago on my blog. And that kind of shocked me because I built up this skill and I found that it was better at me than at a lot of things, right? It had more general knowledge. It wasn't deep into the specifics of whatever JavaScript and React rendering and all that. Like, I just don't think that that's important. Um, this is it. Yeah, I wrote this in August of 2022, and I was saying, like, yeah, this is what we're going to do in the future. Um, it's been pretty surprising. I think this was rewritten, but I did write this in 2022. Anyway, uh, when Claude 3.5 came out, I started using Cursor a lot, a very, very significant amount. This is my work account. I don't want to go into it now, but I was using Cursor all day, every day, and I kept getting like negative comments about it being slop, which it is, right? It was. I was probably a very big pain in the ass to work with, and I still thought like this makes more sense than manually typing it, but I did at that point type a lot, right? At this point, I think it's been a year since I've written any code manually, like by hand. I've deleted a few things, moved a few files around, changed some loops, and added some taste here and there. But realistically, I don't code by hand anymore. But I do have a very in-depth, in-tune process on how to iterate over a project. And an example here that I want to go over is this. One second, VLM Studio we have. Yeah, I want to go over VLM Studio. So this is a project that I built as a response to like LM Studio. Specifically, I like using VLM. So VLM is a very fast renderer, and but it doesn't have any of these like quality of life features that LM Studio has. And so I tried to build it from scratch. You could see like here's all my GPUs, here's what's currently going on. I could run speed benchmarks. Now, a lot of this is broken right now because I have been doing a bunch of other stuff, but I can do benchmarks. I can store recipes. Recipes essentially are a command that I call to launch a model. I could look for new models. This is connected to Hugging Face. I could search for whatever I want, and I could forward my logs. As you can see here, all of my models have their own logs, and this did not exist because, yeah, again, LM Studio is connected to Llama CPP, and it is way easier to use and way nicer to use, but it is very slow. With VLM, it's very fast. So as you can see, I built all of this. All of this was built by AI. I did not write a single line of code. I could go over the actual repo itself so that like we could look at what it looks like right now. I think we could do that in here. Now I'm gonna zoom in a little bit and cut down on the stuff that I have open. But we can take a look at this preview here. So this is how I think about my projects. Is like, what is going on? What are the data pipelines? What are the steps? What are the possible states? And what are all the configurations and data that is passed between them? Now, I, again, don't write this myself either. I get the AI to write it for me. I go over a phase of like trying to tweak what I want to get out of it. I will add a project in a second, and there you go. Now, this is a brand new project. I am going to close it. A few sub-agents. Now, there you go. All right, so yeah, this is a project that I built on top of OpenCode. I really like OpenCode. This is what you see on the right. And what this project does is it allows me to define workers, integrations, and workflows. And a workflow is just a step-by-step process that a model is supposed to take using specific tools and sub-agents to get a specific outcome. And I have a bunch of these that I have been doing in my day-to-day. One of them is called WorkPack. So if I open Codex, I could show this for a second. So I have a WorkPack skills. I don't know. I don't think I can do it here, but oh yeah, right there. I have the WorkPack planner skill. So all this is I have an idea in my head. I want to get it to come to life, at least get a demo of it. And so I pass it on, like I pass the idea onto the LLM, and then it has to go through a specific workflow. And that workflow is research, read, create a scope, create a questionnaire, send it over to me, take my response, modify the scope, create tasks. Tasks are to be done in sequence. So imagine slash tasks, task 00, task 01, task 02. And all of these are markdown files that I then pass back to the model. And I use features like Codex's queue mode. So with Codex, if you message a model, like you try to message GPT, it doesn't see the message until it's done with whatever it was supposed to be doing, which allows you to chain up these tool calls over 8 hours. You can see other videos that I have and try to understand what I'm talking about from there. But this is a project that I tried to build, and if we take a look at my Claude code, which is here, I can try to get the history, resume, and yeah, I can't really get the history anymore because yeah, ooh, you could see there. So I basically have a conversation with it, and I go back and forth. I start with actually, how are we going to build this? How are we going to architect this and break it down into phases? How are we going to actually deploy these phases? So what is each phase and how do we validate it? Then we do the phase, we do the work, we validate, we debug, we clean up, then we go to the next phase, we do that, we clean up, we go to the next phase, and then we keep our code very modular and clean and simple. There are design patterns that work better with LLMs, like you really need to do TDD with them. They don't work well if you're not testing everything. Also, they are really good at reading documentation, remembering stuff for a minute, but then they go off track, right? So if this model was not trained on this open code, which most of them aren't, they think open code is the like an older version of it. they will not perform well. So they will add a lot of bugs, a lot of issues. And so you have tools and MCPs and all this stuff that can make it better, skills. But you also have the ability to essentially teach it in context. Like, this is what we are talking about. This is how things are done. These are the types that we need to use. We can tag those files and pass it back to the model, and then have it understand what we're trying to say. Also, forking chats. So every time you feel like you have a very good place in your chat, forking it is a good idea. This is a great demonstration. Some harnesses make it easier than others. This is Claude Code. Claude Code does not make it that easy. But Open Code, for example, allows you to do this. Pi allows you to do this. And so another thing that is very essential in my workflow is being like a multi-tool user. I don't want to stick to any one tool, and I don't want to stick to any one model specifically because, as you know, these models belong to companies. These companies can do whatever the hell they want, right? It's their property, and they have the right to do that. And it's great that we are able to use these tools in the first place. But we do need to understand that these tools do not belong to us unless you are running them personally. Now, what a day in the life looks like is I have an idea that I want to get done. I usually have a few of them. I set these up and I try to build as much documentation out of a simple prompt idea as possible, which is why I have these like work pack workflows where it's just, I want to give you an idea and then I want to figure out how far you can take it, right? And most of these die. Most of these don't do well because these models are like amnesiacs, but you have the ability to run 10 of them at the same time. So why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you have like 6 here and 4 here and 4 here? You should, if you could. If you could figure out how to scale your attention, you should. You can see here I use a lot of workspaces because the cost of going between pages also is huge with these things. So I'm going to try to pull a specific thread on this. I do know that I'm bouncing around all over the place, but I want the specific thread to be that a few years ago, I decided that this is going to be the future. We need to learn how to do this, and this is the way most people are going to work. Maybe not right now. These things are like really stupid and have a lot of problems. But in the future, I do see that this is what is going to dominate the workforce and that we need to be very good managers of these things. And so by understanding that and making that decision, I went deeper and deeper into using these automation tools, these AI tools. I started with the cursor, I went to Claude Code, and then now I use practically everything. You could see here, like I have used 83% of a $200 subscription with GPT. I have used 60% of a $200 subscription with Claude. I have used this CAI. I have Minimax as well. And I run my own local models. And so scaling this stuff was very important to me, which I have been doing. And now it's like, how do you work with these things better, because they have huge flaws. Like the fact that they only have 200,000 context window is a huge flaw. You have to reteach it whatever you taught it within a conversation dozens of times, or figure out how to extract that into memory on the disk or in a database, which is also complicated and requires you to manage data. And these models also, they don't like tell the truth per se. So you could say, did you run the tests? And unless you verify that they ran the tests, they could say, yes, we did run the tests, but they have deleted all of them, or they mocked all the data. They don't know that they are building on something that exists. They don't make good architectural decisions most of the time. There are some exceptions to this. For example, I would say GPT is a good exception to this. Some of them are fast, some of them are slow. The subscriptions constantly change, and also, yeah, again, we are dependent on these things to work now, and so we cannot be using only one specific company. This is something to understand, and then you just have to change the way you work. I used to like coding because it gave me this feeling of intelligence and power. Now when I see myself coding, I don't enjoy it anymore, and I feel like that's a loss, because there is a craft to it, coding, and being excellent and getting better at it. There is a craft to it, and it's beautiful. And I think there's a lot of people that should be doing that and should not be doing this, because this does corrode like a part of your mind that is into the details and into the weeds. And it's important to understand that that's a trade-off that you could make, right? You could stay and do things manually. And I think there's a huge space for coders that want to code. They want to be good at what they do. They don't want to be just throwing slop at the wall, right? Like they don't want to just be generating a bunch of code, working on 10 projects. They want to be focused. And I think those people still have like a huge space and maybe they're more important than ever. But I also see that this is a path forward for all of us. And so hopefully some of these videos that I'm making can help teach you and make you figure out what you want to do with this. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want to, and thank you.